Alright, skipping Season 4. They don't have any partners in that one. I don't think that counts. So we're on to Season 5. It's Agumon again. This time with red restraining bands for his claws, or reinforcements? I'm not actually quite sure. So, to my knowledge, I have watched Season 5, but it's definitely one of my less watched ones. This Agumon is like Marcus. They are both dumb himbos. The only difference is Marco's kind of like the street tough boss, and Agumon's like his right-hand man. I like the scene where they're trapped in a cage, and this is actually a scene with the Digimon on their own, and they're like, how do we get out of here? And Agumon sets up the smoke alarm by breathing fire, and Gaumon's like, I told you to use your head. He's like, yeah, where'd the fire come from? So yeah, he's cute and dumb. Is he better than OG Agumon? The only problem is OG Agumon has had time to like have an interesting change in his dynamic with Tai. This one doesn't. But if I look at just Season 1 Agumon from Adventure, he's just Tai. Agumon with Marcus, he's just Marcus. But maybe he has a little more because he's in a different role and has some time on his own. I'm gonna put him there. It doesn't feel quite right, but it's my decision, and I'm going with it. Gaomon. So, if I ever made an abridged series of Digimon Season 5, which I'm not going to ever, Gaomon's joke would be the only thing he ever says is variations of "Sir, yes, sir." That is all he says for the majority of his early appearances, and that's the energy he brings into the rest of the series. He's better than Cyberdramon because he does talk. I would say he's worse than Falcomon and Fakomon. Sorry, bud, I love your evolution line. But I can't say anything about you. Like, even separate from your tamer, you're boring. Which is sad. Lalamon! So, I love the theme of girls and their partner Digimon don't get as much developed. Yoshi is the one who gets the least to do of the main three, because she is the girl of the group. As soon as Geogreymon shows up, Sunflomon's irrelevant in fighting. When Lilamon shows up, they're like, oh, she's almost as strong as Rise Greymon. And they're like, oh, not as strong? You have to clarify that she sucks? Thanks. She does have a more mature energy than Agumon, which Yoshi also kind of has, because she's been in the Data Squad longer, but sucks because she's a woman in a Digimon series. She has one blooper in a Digimon movie where she's fighting with sausage nunchucks, and the nunchucks go flying off, and that is hilarious, which definitely wants me to rate her higher than Gaomon. She also serves as Yoshi's support, but not just like following orders support, she's more so emotional support. I kind of want to rank her at the top of E. I feel bad. She's just flying Palmon, but not different enough from Yoshi to distinguish her. Pawnchessmons. Why did I add these to the list? So the joke is, the Pawnchessmon are mute and serve the two data analysts in the DATS, or the Data Squad. They don't even say their attack names, their tamers do it for them. They literally do not speak, which technically makes them worse than Deotirimon, because he speaks and has some type of emotion happen. Kamemon, I don't know what I'm doing here, on this list even. So Kamemon's the partner of that random old guy who hands out Digivices. I love the design of the turtle with the military helmet, and is also a computer mouse with the ball in it. His evolutions are fun because he goes to like a DJ Kappa to like an actual like Kappa, and then into Gamera, but that's not a thing that ever happens in the series, because why would a non-main character get a Mega unless they're Rio? There's nothing to say about him. To be honest, I probably have more to say about Cyberdramon, but is he as a non-entity? Put him there. He's a non-entity. Falcomon! Falcomon has an interesting design history. He used to be like a raptor lizard, but then they redesigned him to an owl, which makes the name Falcomon make no sense. He's stuck with Keenan, who speaks in broken English, despite every Digimon around him speaking in normal English, including Falcomon. So he's just kind of aligned with Keenan, in the same, like, Digimon supremacy over humans. He just does what Keenan says to do. They act pretty well in sync. Doesn't really have any holdups or emotional beats I can remember. And if I remember him getting his Mega and Ultimate, they were both uninteresting scenarios. It's a Digimon I like the design of, I like the aesthetic of, and I think it's a fun archetype in the card game, even if it's not the best. But there's nothing to say about Falcomon. But technically he's better than Galmon. He has more lines. Maybe I should put him above Megomon. I don't know. The E tier is getting weird. I feel like I've lost sight of it. Like, maybe these guys should be in E tier. But, like, Vmon has going more than Falcomon. Lotmon has more going on than Falcomon. In fact, our next entry has more going on than Falcomon. Kudamon. So the big reveal is that the Kudamon around the commander's neck the whole time was actually a royal knight, which means he has existence outside of all his partners. He was basically sent there to observe, and he ends up wanting to align with humans. The only issue is Kudamon acts off-screen a bunch to save everyone. He does once as Repamon and once as Kiranmon, until he fights Gallantmon to a standstill and freezes them in the ice. But again, that's his own fight and his own will. It's really weird to think that I want to put him in C tier, but if you were writing a story, you could write one just about Kudamon and not even have his partner in it. So let's put him at the bottom of C tier. I feel like it's weirdly high for this ranking list, but okay. I put the Biomon from this season on there as well, but put it as the baby form because I didn't want to have two of the same Biomon on screen. This Biomon just shouts Christy forever and serves as Marcus's sister's Digimon until it explodes. I don't remember anything happening after that. Worse than Ponchesmons? Yes, because it's shouting all the time is annoying. Speaking of shouting, how's that for a transition? I'm actually proud of that. Cross Wars. Should probably preface that I do not like Cross Wars, and I have watched it both dubbed and subbed. The dub helps because it's so cheesily done that it's kind of funny, and you don't lose anything. They actually try to make Mikey an actual character, so here's the problem. Shoutmon's main tamer, Mikey Kudo, or Kudo Taiki, has no personality. He is a perfect Gary Sue. His only problem is caring too much, and that's never actually a problem in the series. We're like, oh, he overworked himself to death, or he was too focused on helping others that something bad happened. Shoutmon exists outside of Taiki. Shoutmon wants to become the Digimon King, so he has a goal, like some of our C and B above rated characters. Shoutmon tried to fight Madleomon and almost got killed. Shoutmon trains away from everyone else in private to become stronger. He makes the effort to become stronger rather than getting a new fusion in order to improve his focus to get the fusion better. He has a worldview. He wants a world where the strong protect the weak, and he eventually becomes the Digimon King. I wouldn't say he's interesting, but he has a goal, and he's the main mon, which makes me want to rate him above Kudamon? We'll put him at the top of C. I don't think he's bad. I just don't think he's interesting. It's kind of a generic shonen goal. He wants to be king of the pirates. He's gonna be king. But don't worry, my Cross Wars hate can show up now. Greymon. This spot also belongs to male Birdramon because they are effectively the same. They just exist to fight. I put Greymon here because he has a few more interesting lines, and as an entity is more interesting in the digital world. So, when Serial Backstabber and Alliance Changer Kiriha originally only fights with male Birdramon, who seems to be his default until Greymon shows up. When Greymon first appears to fight Tactimon, they're like, oh wow, how did you tame Greymon? And I'm like, wow, that sounds like a really interesting plot point. How did he tame Greymon? They never tell you. You never learn how he tamed Greymon. The only potential connection between the two is that Kiriha believes that the strong should be at the top and screw the weak because he thought his parents had that ethos, but it turns out no. Yeah, it just turns out he misinterpreted his, like, dying mother's words or something, and that's why he's mean. Greymon respects the strong, so I guess he respects Kiriha's devotion and the capability to make him stronger. When Greymon's about to fall down a cliff, he gets lifted off by Shoutmon. He's like, wow, you're pretty strong. You should show us that strength. And I'm pretty sure that's what leads to Shoutmon DX, or maybe that's later on against Gravimon. I don't remember, despite watching Cross Wars multiple times. So yeah, Greymon's a non-entity. He had the potential for being interesting, so I'm going to rate him below Marine Angemon, because Marine Angemon has at least one thing that's interesting that follows through. Speaking of boring, okay, and also speaking of lost potential, I guess you're gonna need my backstory. When Nene first shows up, she is a mysterious girl in a lab coat. Why she wears a lab coat's never explained. It's like, oh, why is she teaching Taiki everything? Why does she know as much as she does? Why does she seem to be able to leave areas as she wants? It turns out it's because she's being used by the big bad, and she has no mysterious backstory. But, like, she tries to make an alliance with Kiriha, and brings out Sparamon, and Sparamon's like, yo, you want me to kill this guy? Sparamon is not stronger than Greymon. Canonically, Sparamon is rookie status, Greymon's champion. Sparamon's attacks include Random Laser. Sparamon looks like a weird knockoff toy of Latias, but that's not relevant to this conversation. The goal of this conversation is Sparamon as a character, and Sparamon likes Nene, is loyal to her, but that's it? Like, she doesn't even reflect parts of Nene, like, oh, Nene wants to protect her brother. Mervamon is a better reflection of Nene than Sparamon, but Sparamon is her main mon, which is why Mervamon didn't make the list. And if I went through all the Digimon in the Cross Wars army, we'd be here forever, and I don't like Cross Wars enough to talk about it forever. Sparamon. Worse than Greymon. Because I said so. I need a drink of water. Damemon. The closest parallel to Damemon is Wormmon, because Yu's closest parallel is Ken. They're both marketed as gentle souls who wouldn't normally hurt people, but found a world where they thought there were no consequences and thus could indulge in evil, which, I don't know, I'm a gentle person, and when I play video games I don't want to be mean, but let's say these are worlds they found to escape their pain. Wormmon knows that this world is real and is trying to get Ken to open his eyes and realize it. Damemon is originally working with the bad guys, and thus is using you, use the character's name, not using you, the audience, sorry, is using you to further Dark Knightmon's goals, slash the Bagra Army's goals. Their alliances are kind of weird. So he's keeping up the illusion that, oh, this is a game, you can do what you want. You cannot get hurt. Damemon first found him sad in a pipe, and he's like a little goofball to make him happier. When Damemon dies, he comes back, but when he dies, it's not quite as poignant as Wormmon, because for Wormmon it's his first act of defiance. For Damemon dying, it's him finally being honest and being like, you should, live how you want. It's no good to not do that. I forget, he has a catchphrase technically. He says dame dame, which means like no good, no good. I kind of want to put him in D tier, because he does exist separately. He has his own plans and goals, he has things that he's lying about. I guess it would be unfair to rank him lower than C, if I'm being honest. Better than Shoutmon? Nah. I can imagine what Shoutmon would do if Taiki never showed up. I can't imagine what Damemon would do. Oh, Gumdramon. So, to my recollection, which, to be fair, I only watched Young Hunters once, and it was subtitled, and I didn't like it. It's definitely the weakest series on this list, because it is both episodic, short, and the main character is just there to shout, oh, how cool everything is. So, while his tamer, Taigaru, is obsessed with beating Kudo Taiki, an impossible goal, because Taiki's perfect and I hate him. Sorry, I got distracted. Gumdramon's goal is to beat the Digimon King, who is Shoutmon. He has a slight Sun Wukong backstory, where they have the monk, whose name's escaping me, as an ultimate level Digimon and also a woman, place that bracelet on his tail to like restrict his power or keep him in check. Does it ever lead to anything? I know it breaks off, I think, when he evolves the first time. But Gumdramon is literally just Tigeru, but worse? So I guess that puts him at the bottom of D? I don't know, I feel bad because I could say Lalamon's Yoshi, but slightly better. You know what? He has a little development and story outside. Let's put him in E. I feel like my tiers have gotten a little messy, but that's fine. This is a general sense of how good of a character they are. Some of these were jokes.